this computer. And if somebody can help me try to remember on the breaks to pause and then come back, please. Austin Bradley, Louis Daniel,
Present.
Benjamin Duran. He's going to be late. Yeah. Adier.
Yep.
Hey, Adier.
What's going on?
I have you absent the last 2 Thursdays. Is that true?
2 Thursdays.
Yeah, today's Thursday. The last 2 Thursdays, I have you absent on, oh, well, not last week because I was absent. But
I
the one
don't think
before,
so.
the 4th and the 28th.
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure I went.
You think you were here? Because I don't have you marked here, but I'm going to take your word for it. If you remember being here, and remember last week was Veterans Day, so nobody was here. So the Thursday before, you think you were in class, and the Thursday before that, okay. You don't remember missing class?
You know what? One of them was I had to attend to a funeral because
You want to go to a funeral too?
Yeah.
Right. So I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to mark you here last week, and I'm going to mark you excused for the week before. We'll call that your funeral excuse. Okay?
All right. I appreciate that, Rod.
No sweat. Funeral.
Yeah.
I don't want to jam you guys up. I want you to show up, but I also, if you show up late and I don't get you, it sometimes falls to the cracks. So I got enough going on in my head. I don't trust my memory sometimes. Zach Higgins. Zach.
Here.
Did Lay come in? Austin, did you come in? Or Miguel? Got your pen. Eric. Eric Mendez, you here? Eric? Jacob. Mr. Miller. Dylan. Matthias. Matthias is going to be late, but he's going to show up. Are you there already, Matthias? No, he was stuck in traffic. Let me know. Brandon.
Right here.
And I really appreciate D'Angelo. And Joel Santos.
Here.
Appreciate when you guys tell me that you're going to be late. Then I don't. Then, it's better for me to know than not know. Jose
I'm here.
and John Tapia.
Right here.
Okay, cool. So the only guys I'm missing are Austin. Show up yet, Austin? And Eric and Miguel. All right. Hey, so measuring and calculating. That's what we're doing here. Let's have a safety meeting. Right to safety. Got a good safety meeting here.
Lights all the way off.
I think I got it on half mast. Yeah, leave it on half mast. It projects pretty good. One bank, one set of bolts. And John, do me a favor, timer below, turn it all the way counterclockwise so it clicks off. I'm done with that. Done with that. Okay. This is called, this topic, the safety topic, the topic for this safety meeting is called First Aid Basics at Work. Injuries and illnesses kill more than 2 million people in the world each year. That is one death every 15 seconds or 6,000 people a day.
I don't think you're projecting, Rob.
Thank you.
Are you recording?
I am. Thanks. Thanks for reminding me.
You take roll.
Except for the people that haven't shown up yet, which would be Austin, Miguel, and Eric. No? Projecting yet? Starting to project? We'll get that 100. We'll get that thing that says you got a service. So let's see if we can get this right enough. read up there. Can you guys, you can see that enough to read? Can you read it? Read it? Okay. All right, introduction. At work, injuries and illnesses kill more than 2 million people in the world each year. That's one death every 15 seconds, or 6,000 people a day. It's pretty interesting, shocking statistics. Safe practices can prevent many injuries, illnesses and deaths. However, once injury or sudden illness has occurred, providing effective first aid can make the difference between life and death, rapid versus prolonged recovery, and temporary versus permanent disability. John Tapia.
Definition: first aid is emergency aid or treatment given to someone injured, suddenly ill, etc., before regular medical services arrive or can be reached. Procedures: never attempt first aid skills that exceed your training. Assess the scene. If it is not safe or anytime becomes unsafe, get out. Observe universal precautions by using personal protective equipment. Universal precautions means to wear goggles, gloves, or a face mask to protect from patient body fluids. If victim is awake and talking, identify yourself and ask if it is okay to help. If victim appears weak, seriously ill, or injured, or is unresponsive, call 911.
Okay. This is so many things bother me about this. That these things, like, really ask yourself if it's okay to help if he's got a gushing artery or something like that. Is it okay if I stop your bleeding?
You have to identify yourself first.
Really? No.
Here's my ID.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hey, it's
Hi,
Rodney,
Rodney.
and here's my ID. And is it okay if I save your life? Yeah, I think that's kind of BS. I guess maybe it's a liability thing, maybe, right?
Or with the Red Cross, the full legal issue.
Oh, the legal issue, for sure, it
You
would
have
be,
to
yeah.
ask- You have to ask for consent, is what they're meaning, is you need
Yeah.
their consent.
Well, and that I guess is, and it can be an issue, if you go to work on somebody giving him first aid and they say, oh, well, he never gave you consent and your actions kill him. I don't know.
There is a loop where paramedics have to do the same thing, they have to ask consent, and if you say no, you don't want their consent, paramedics will just wait until you pass out, because then they can work on you.
Oh, I see.
Implied
Without, if
consent.
you're unconscious, they can work on you. No, that's good. Or just, one good tap to the jaw, bam, work on it. Yeah, and I don't know about you guys, but if you're working with a coworker and they cut themselves, and let's say they cut themselves really bad, like arterially, and there's arterial spray, I mean, are you gonna be sure you got your goggles and your gloves and your face mask on when you jump on them? No, you're not. I mean, I guess you maybe should protect yourself from their blood and bodily fluids, but still in all, thing about first aid is that you want to administer it as fast as you can. That's how you save somebody's life. And I'm talking about usually arterial. Well, there's way more ways that first aid's applied to way more wounds, way more injuries than just arterial wounds. But I've had arterial wounds and they spurt, and if you don't get on them right away, then you can bleed out really fast, depending upon the artery. Okay, next, Ben.
Cardiopulmonary resuscitation, CPR. If you come across an unconscious person, the proper steps for CPR are: look, listen, and feel for breathing and pulse for at least 5 seconds. If unresponsive and not breathing, perform CPR after calling 911. If victim is breathing normally, continue assessment as described below. Circulation. If there is no pulse, you should immediately do 30 compressions at the rate of 100 beats per minute, or to the tune of Staying Alive by the Bee Gees. The compressions should be between 1/3 and 1/2 the depth of the chest. Airway. Open airway. Tilt head back. Lift chin and make sure there are no obstructions in the airway, such as food items. Breathing. Once the airway is clear, administer 2 breaths, either mouth to mouth or with a CPR mask. Continue alternating compressions and breathing at the ratio of 30 compressions 2 breaths, or what was it?
2 breaths,
Oh, okay.
30 compressions to 2 breaths. Okay, so let's have somebody from our home audience, Zach.
Additionally, look for and control severe bleeding with direct pressure. Look for normal tissue color and
Zach, can
use.
you hear me?
You gotta turn.
Can you hear me?
Zach, you reading? Zach?
Yeah, he started right away reading. He was ready to go.
Okay, so start again for,
Wait, can you hear me, Rodney?
okay, now we can hear you perfectly.
Okay, that's odd. Additionally, look for and control severe bleeding with direct pressure. Look for normal tissue color and use your exposed wrists to feel for body temperature. Help maintain normal body temperature. If it is available and you are properly trained, give emergency oxygen. Suspected spinal injury. Place your hands on both sides of the victim's head to stabilize it. Suspected limb injury. Place your hands above and below the injury to stabilize it.
Okay, so Mike Silva. Mike, I think you might be having trouble with your mic, huh? Who else is out there? Who else is out there? Eric, Zach, Adair.
You can use the mnemonic PEEP to remember how to deal with the severe bleed. Position, ask the casualty to sit on the floor if possible. Expose and examine. Quickly examine the wounds for any embedded objects. Elevation, if the injury is to a limb, elevate above the level of the heart. Pressure, ask the casualty to apply firm, direct pressure over the wound. If the casualty is unable to do this, you will have to do it for them.
Yeah, direct pressure is a big thing. Conclusion, all work sites should have a person with first aid or medical training readily available. Larger workplaces may need more than one. Employees should know who that person is, know where the first aid kit is located, and know where the emergency numbers are listed. An up-to-date first aid manual should be stored with or near the first aid kit. Remember to replace any items used from the first aid kit. That's pretty important. So first aid is really important when you need it. You know, it's one of those things where you really can't anticipate the need for it, but when you need it, you need it. So there's some things that I really strongly caution you or counsel you to do. If you're working in the industry, or even if you're not, if you're working with your hands, get a first aid kit, a good one, small one that you can keep in your vehicle. I never go anywhere without a first aid kit. And then if it's a good sized job site, and our job, some of our job sites were pretty good size, I always made sure we had a job site first aid kit. Yes.
They actually require it at my job to have first aid kit. in the
Yeah,
car.
yeah, they are required.
Yeah, they give it to us.
They're required. They're required on the job site too, and they're required in my shop, and we have, you know, a big Z one, and someone comes in once a month or every 2 months and restocks it. But yeah, first aid can save somebody's life. You know, CPR, if you're not trained in it, find somebody that is. If your company offers a first aid class, take it. It's a good thing to know. You know, you might, who knows where you'll be when you can help someone. Yeah, who knows where you'll be. And you know, what can happen, it could be at work, but you know, when we're working with edge tools, saws and drills and chisels and razor knives and all these sharp objects, where the risk to your body is pretty acute, really. You should know first aid. Have a first aid kit, be ready. And the thing that about bleeding, if you didn't know, and I suspect you all know this, is that compression is the thing about bleeding, right? And if it's arterial, then you need to go to tourniquet, and then that gets a little jazzier, how to do a tourniquet. I'm not going to get into that with you right now, but yeah, it's a good thing to be aware of first aid kit and to know how to do first aid and to be trained in CPR. CPR is good. And then as far as asking someone, identifying yourself and asking someone if it's okay to help, why not? I'm ready. It's okay to help. Let's go. Get in.
Just make sure you have a baseball bat in that first aid kit, just in case you got to knock them out.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to use I like those little hammers they give for breaking glass in the car. You get the right shot to the temple and they're out.
I've taken multiple different CPR classes and each one tells you sometimes you do need rescue breaths, sometimes you don't.
Oh,
Like,
so
like
sometimes
it
they tell you to
changes.
do the breath or not, some tell you
Yeah.
not to do the breath.
So it varies from like year to year to when they say do it or don't do it. Some they say compressions is the main key, is just do compressions.
Can you guys hear that? Can you hear that at home? What Dylan's saying?
Can you repeat it?
Yeah, could you repeat that, Dylan? No, I think that's, because I think you're right. You're right.
So it varies from year to year. I've taken multiple CPR classes like every 2 years, and each one has said two different things, either do compressions or don't do it. And
No,
they
the
just
breathing,
say,
right?
they just say they just.
You said the breathing,
The
yes.
breath.
The breaths, the
yeah.
breathing.
All right.
Well,
So some of them say eliminate the breaths, and
some of them
say
just
do
focus on
two
compression.
breaths. Yeah, so it's really
Because
the
you have to stop doing
compressions.
compressions to do the breaths. And if you have another person, I guess you can do it. But it's also personal preference if you want to or not. If you don't have a mouth barrier, you're not gonna go up to a complete stranger and kiss them on the mouth.
Well, it depends. I mean, I don't know. Depends on what they look like.
Exactly.
Just kidding.
That's where the
Stop.
consent comes in.
Speaking of that, hey, there's Lay Austin.
I think that, if it's something serious, like they said, call 911,
Yeah,
because at least then help is on the way.
help is on the way, and then start compressions.
And they can help explain it to you too.
Yeah.
911. If it's severe and like they're gonna die.
If they're
before
blue,
anyone shows
yeah.
up, they'll explain it to you and how to do it.
Well, that's good.
They're reading off the script, so they can kind of.
I
Help
took
them
a
out.
CPR class in Jim Messina's studio. I built out for him in his commercial building in Carpinteria, and I took it with Kenny Loggins and his wife. That was about 40 years ago. That was kind of fun. Just us and my wife at the time. I got to meet my mentor's granddaughter today. Really a beautiful woman. It's great to meet her. I also got a project going on. I got a GoFundMe project going on. So when I get the page up, I'll shoot you guys a link. I want to shoot everybody a link. We'll see how I can make it happen. But I videoed. I put the video together today. Let's try to keep it under 3 minutes. Turn it to be about 3 minutes and 29 seconds. But it's a video of the kid that I'm trying to raise money to get a bike from him. Did I tell you guys about this? So there's a kid. There's a kid in my neighborhood who's just 21, just turned 21 August 18th, and he's pretty autistic. I think he's fairly severely autistic, and he has PTSD as well from being bullied, from being beaten and left for unconscious, and then jacked up at Santa Barbara High for every week until his mom had to pull him out of school. He's a sweet kid. He sells avocados. I've been buying avocados from him for probably 3 years since I started buying avocados from him. I try to help him out every time he shows up at my doorstep. But he said to have a little money, and his mom kicked in. I think she kicked in the most, but he got a killer electric bike it's been a couple of years, I think, year and a half ago. He got a really nice electric bike, a giant Momentum. This turquoise blue. He was always happy on it. It was just great seeing it. And then one day I saw him on the street, on my street, and he was all dejected. And what's up, Tucker? Where's your bike? And his bike had been stolen. It's really bummed. He went in to use the John at Mackenzie Park. He was in there for a couple of minutes and came out. 2 locks, cut and bike on. So it wasn't 2 or 3 months. He got a tip, or he'd seen something. He was driving around and talked to somebody, but he got a tip about some guy that has some stolen bicycles around an RV out by the airport. Anyway, with the sheriffs, he recovered his bicycle. Wow. They recovered his bicycle. And then I heard that. I saw him on the bike. I went, oh my God, your bike, man. Yeah, I got the bike back. And then I saw him about 2 weeks ago, and he didn't have his bike. And his bike got stolen. He got a job doing security at CVS, and the manager would let him lock his bike, bring his bike into the office and lock it up inside. And then he came to work one day, and there was some manager he didn't know, was kind of not a nice guy to him, was in a bad mood, whatever. So he couldn't put it in the store. So he had to lock it outside, 2 locks again. 30 minutes later, bike's stolen again. So I really want to help him get a bike. It's not likely Tucker's ever going to get a driver's license. It's not, probably not in the cards for him. So really an e-bike is what he needs. He wants to start City College. He wants to be able to go to a job. So it's pretty important. And so I started this GoFundMe page, and it's pretty cool. It's kind of identified what I really want to do with this. And so when I have it up, I'll get you guys a link. And I want to see if I can get Tucker a bike. I bet I can make it happen. And I could buy him a bicycle, but I just don't want to give him a bicycle. I want the community to give him a bicycle. I want him to know that it's not just me, but it's people like me that are willing to help. So it's going to be titled Tucker's e-bike. When you see the link, Tucker's e-bike, you'll know what we're talking about, what it's talking about, if you remember.
Rodney, would it be okay if I share that through some horticulture channels?
Absolutely. I'll give you the link and ask you to share it through whoever you feel comfortable sharing it with, because I definitely want to put it out there and see what we can do for Tucker. He's a sweet kid. I should show you the video. Can I show you the video? It's on YouTube. You guys want to see the video, the 3-minute video for Tucker?
Yeah, let's see it.
Okay. Let's see, let's get there. Okay.
The tracking device on the bike.
Yeah, well, that's more than, you're not the first person that's mentioned that. So I've got some really good cyanoacrylate, which is crazy glue and commercial variety. Get his mom and I have been talking about, we'll get one like under the seat or somewhere really.
That sounds like he's the best of luck.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. But he's also, well, you'll meet him. You meet him right now. He's a good kid. Okay, we're recording now, Tucker, and give it a minute, let the screen catch up. Getting about the screen. Oh yeah, so it's 4-minute video. They say that 3 minutes is better. I probably should edit it anyway. Right now, this is just raw footage. I'm not big on editing though. Everything takes time. It's like, okay, it's the way it is. It's the beauty of it. I never pretended to be a professional videographer. Is it going? Places, bicycle, which has been stolen twice now. So Tucker, tell us about Tucker White regarding doing a GoFundMe page to replace his bicycle, which has been stolen twice now. So Tucker, tell us about, introduce yourself and tell us about your bike.
Hi, my name's Tucker. Almost a year and a half ago, I purchased a e-bike downtown, and I was using it to get from point A to point B. work in school pretty much. And
Did you save up your money and your mom helped you?
yes. I saved up a decent amount, and then my mom helped me pitch in for most of it. I went to the Mackenzie Park a while back because I had to use the restroom, and I locked my bike with a U-lock and a master lock. And somebody ended up breaking into it. I was in the bathroom for about 5 minutes, and I went out, and somebody already had broken into it, broke the master lock and the U-lock off the bike. And about a week and a half later, I got some leads that he was in Old Town Goleta. So I went to Old Town Goleta, and I saw the person that stole my bike. He was riding it around near the Jiffy Lube. So I contacted the sheriffs, and they helped me obtain my bike back.
So you got your bike back.
Exactly.
You've gone about 4 months or so? Or
Yeah.
4 months at least? And then-
3 months.
and then
3 months. And then I went to and then they took my bike back, and then a couple months later, I got a job working at the drugstore, and a new manager was there, so he wouldn't let me take my bike into the back of the.
So normally the other manager.
The
would-
dinner manager, right? Yeah, sorry, yeah. He would, yeah.
You were doing security?
Yes, exactly. The first manager that I met, he was a super nice person. He would let me bring my bike into the back, but there's a new manager there that I haven't met previously in the past, and he wouldn't let me store my bike in the back for some odd reason. He seems super agitated and stuff like that. So I locked my bike out in the front, and with a U-lock and a master lock, new sets of locks, and some new guy broke into it, ran off with my bike, and
So your bike's stolen, now you're back on foot.
exactly, yes. And now
You're
back
heading to job interviews.
right.
Occasionally the bus when you get it.
But when you get exactly, yeah.
Right? You're not likely to get a driver's license anytime.
Anytime soon, no, because I'm car phobic. I've gone in too many car crashes. My mom has got me in a few car crashes, and my grandfather and my dad. So I just a little bit car phobic. So I won't be driving anytime soon, at least. So I could get the courage to do so, and I'll start driving. But I don't know if that's gonna happen
It's
anytime
pretty
soon.
important for you to get to school and to be able to work.
Exactly, yeah.
And you'd really like to get this bike.
Right.
We'd like to replace this bike, the bike that Tucker chose. It's a turquoise bike. It's just a beautiful bike.
Yes,
isn't it?
that's
Those are
right.
Open air bicycles.
Yeah, that's the one, yeah.
And that's what we're starting this GoFundMe page for. My name's Rodney. And I want to have
Tucker.
Tucker get his bike, okay?
Thank you.
Yeah, that's it. That's that. Tucker's e-bike. Latest project.
Hey Rod, I'm here.
Hey, who's here?
Matthias.
Matthias, all right. You know what, Matthias, I knocked you here anyway because you told me you were coming.
That was a pretty cool video.
Yeah, that's the power of communicating with me beforehand. Okay, so let's get out of there. What are we doing here? All right, I know what we're doing. I'm going to show you something because we're going right into board feet. Okay, safety meeting modules. Oh, we don't want modules. But notice the modules for week 13. By the way, there's 16 weeks to this class. If this is week 13, how many more do we have after this? 3. Except Thanksgiving's one of them. So this class got 2 holidays. So 16 weeks, you guys are only having to do 14. So we really, after this class, we only have 1 more class.
And that's the final.
No,
right?
I'm sorry. We have 1 more class and then the final.
Or do we have final prep before the final?
That
Right.
last class.
Yeah.
So after this, we have Thanksgiving, which is no class, and then the final class before final, which will try to finish whatever I didn't finish tonight in the book, which will be right triangles if we don't finish it. And then and there's some prep for the final, and then the final. And the final will be the same. It'll be the same final. Everybody hear me out there? La La Land? And
Yeah, we
do
can.
I need this for you? Yes, I do. Be this same final, the final will be the same as the midterm. It'll be 50 questions. There'll be probably 3 bonus questions for you to make up some time. The bonus questions may be unrelated to calculating and measuring. They will more than likely be something that I've told you about my life. Could be about Tucker's e-bike. It could be about all kinds of things if you've been paying attention and listening. So that's going to happen. The final. And tonight we're going to go over board feet. We're going to start with board feet, which is unit 19. We did okay. So yeah.
Hey,
so-
Rodney, is the
Yes.
final going to be an in-person test or on Zoom or Canvas?
No, it'll be on Canvas.
Okay.
It won't be in person. It'll be on Canvas. So I will be here unless I might take a group conscience on and 2 Thursdays and just see how everybody feels about it. Because if we're just going to be taking this test, if you all agree, maybe it might be that we don't have a physical class on that last day, and I'll open that test up for you on those hours. So I'd like you to come to class by taking the test, but you don't necessarily have to come here to take the test. Now, if some of you, the people that do come here, and some of you in Zoom land that can come here, you're welcome to come here. And the thing is, if you come here, you will get the benefit of me being here if you want to bounce stuff off me or questions and stuff like that. So I'm more than happy to do that. So just think about that. We'll talk about it the next time we meet after tonight, which will be the second to last time we meet, period, or the time before the final. And then you can tell me how you want to do it, what everybody's thoughts are, because I'm pretty open to it.
What are your feelings about having it open, like how James is going to do it, have it open for, multiple hours or multiple?
Well, I'm gonna have it open I'll probably open it from 6 to midnight. But if somebody thinks they want it open longer than that, then we can do that too. But I mean, just off the top of my head, I'll probably start it at 6 so that we'll meet on Zoom. If we were to do it all, no in person, all on Zoom, everybody could check in on Zoom. I would greet everybody on Zoom and maybe tell them a little bit about the test and start the clock running at 6, or anybody could start ticking at 6 and it's over 12. And the thing of it is if you don't get the test done between 6 and 12, all you have to do is call me or text me and say, hey, I couldn't finish, and I'll open it up for you again. I'm not going to be
And you're talking about the week 16, the finals week, or are you talking about week
No.
15?
finals week, the final week.
All right.
The questions are going to be out of the book, right?
Say again, please.
The questions are going to be out of the book.
The questions will be out of the book for the most part, with a few exceptions. You will probably, and also, I might go more than 50. I might not. I like 50. I like 50 a lot because it makes it really easy to do the math. But I might do a couple of things. I may use some questions out of the book and change the numbers. But same format, just different number, make up my own numbers. I may do that. I will definitely use questions right from the book, absolutely. And I may use some questions if we get to any takeoffs, which I kind of feel like we may not. But I may ask a few questions that aren't in the book. For instance, board feet, right? So unit 19 is board feet. And in this chapter, board foot measurement, the objectives are to determine nominal and dressed sizes of lumber and to calculate the board foot quantities. So I'm going to show you some ways to do board feet that may or may not be in here, but let's just get into this a couple of paragraphs. In the construction industry, not all materials are measured and calculated alike. When it comes to estimating materials for a project or quote, a skilled carpenter must know how to calculate a wide variety of products accurately. For example, sheet goods, which we mentioned in here, right? Which are the melamines and plywoods and particle boards and OSBs and all those things that come in 4x8 sheets generally, but they come in other sizes. and they come in 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch, 3/8, well, 3/8 in CDX, but not cabinet plywood, 1/2 inch, 3/4, 5/8, 1 1/8 inch flooring. They come in a variety of thicknesses. Are calculated by area, and they're sold by the sheet or the mill square foot, as opposed to the mill board foot. Mill being 1,000. And concrete is calculated by its volume, and it's sold by the cubic yard. Millwork and trims are sold by the lineal foot. Rough lumber is purchased at a mill, and random size boards are calculated by the board foot. Board store lumber, construction lumber is calculated by the board foot. So all the stuff that, I don't know if any of you have seen the stuff that we got. None of you are in my 110 class, so I got a bunch of wood between the classrooms. I've got 2 18-foot 6x10s, 4 8-foot 6x6s, and 9, I think, 8 20-foot 2x6 in there. And that's all sold by the board foot. So dimensional lumber is sold by the board foot. So is cabinet grade lumber, and so is the lumber that's not dimensional. And I'll talk about that with the board in a bit. Another factor must be considered when calculating lumber needs is the difference between nominal and dressed sizes of lumber. If a project requires a board that actually measures 1.5 inches by 10 inches, then a 2x12 board will need to be purchased. So if you're not following that, if the board, you have to finish a board that's got a net, and whenever we say net, when net precedes something, that means the actual. So 2x4 is not 2x4. It's a nominal size. 2x4 is 1.5 by 3.5. You all understand that, right? Everybody understands that? 2x4 is 1.5 by 3.5. Unless I were to say 2x4 net, because whatever precedes that net is the actual. That's 2 inches by 4 inches net. So for instance, like a piece of cherry, a piece of cabinet grade cherry, an 8/4 S2S, surface 2 sides, would be 1 3/4 net. And I'll explain more of that later, but in the meantime, let me just get through this. I want to get to this place where I do this demo with the framing square. Nominal and dress sizes of lumber. Okay, and backing up to this thing, a 1.5 by 10 inch board, 10 inch net, you can't get out of a 1x10 because a 1x10 is what? I'm sorry, a 2x10. 2x10 is what size?
1.5 by 9.5.
1.5 by 9.5. So what is a 2x12? What size is that?
1.5 by 11.5.
1.5 by 11.5. What is a 1x8? What's the size of a 1x8?
3/4 by 7.5.
3/4 by 7.5. So you get how it goes, right? 2x4s are 1.5, 3.5, 2x6s are 1.5, 5.5, 2x8s are 1.5, 7.5. So it's less a 1/2 inch in both directions. And if it's 1 by, it's 3/4. When you're talking about pine and fir and stuff that you would go to the board store or Hayward's to buy. But if you're buying cabinet grade solid stock lumber, red oak, white oak, cherry, red birch, white birch, mahogany, those things, and you're talking about a 3/4 net, then you're ordering 4/4 stock, 4/4 S2S. 4/4 S2S is 3/4 net. So as not to confuse you too much, just always make sure when you order something or talk about something that you get the net size. So you're not talking about, yeah, it's 5/4, because you hear a lot of people talk about 5/4. 5/4 is 1.25 inches, right? It's not though. 5/4 S2S, surface 2 sides, is 1 inch. 4/4 S2S, net's at 3/4. Okay, nominal and dressed. When trees are taken to harvest, they're cut by loggers, loaded onto trucks, and taken to a mill to be cut into dimensional lumber. During the first stage of the milling process, the logs are analyzed and then milled to get the best yield from each log. First cut reduces their boards to their nominal size, the size from which the boards are named. These boards are considered rough cut and contain a tremendous amount of moisture. Depending on the species and quality of the wood, they're stacked with stickers between each row of boards and then are either air dried or kiln dried to reduce the moisture to an acceptable level. In this part of the country, an acceptable level is 8% moisture content. It's different in different parts of the country. So your wood, when it achieves as dry as it's going to get, and that's just affected by ambient moisture, which it's sometimes wetter than not based on the air. It wants to get to optimal dryness of 8% moisture content. That's just a factoid for you. Oh, that could be on a test, though, but probably not. The boards are considered rough cut, considered a tremendous amount of moisture, depending on the species and quality of the wood. They're stacked with stickers, okay, blah, blah, blah. So stickers allow air to move between the boards. You put pieces of wood on top of them and get air moving around them. When we milled Peter's olive wood, that olive wood kitchen I did, we milled it out rough at 5/4 net, so about 1 1/4 rough, stickered it, air dried it for a month, maybe a month and a half, and then we built a solar kiln and we put it stickered in the solar kiln. We let the solar kiln dry it for another 5 weeks until the moisture content read 8%. And then we took it out, took it back to the shop, finish milled it from rough 5/4 net down to 5/4 S2S and made it 1 inch net. And then we laminated it up and made all its cabinets. So here is the dressed size, is what we were just talking about, right? 1/2 is 3/4, 1 1/2. It's all the same ratio. So 1/8 is 3/4 by 7 1/4. Yeah, it's not. I don't know why they're calling it 7 1/4, 9 1/4. That's just
Not true.
it's not necessarily true. I mean, I've got boards out there and 6x10 that are 9 1/2. So they're calling these 9 1/4. Sometimes they're yeah, so he calls 1 1/2, 3 1/2 for 2x4s, and 1 1/2, 5 1/2 by 2x6s, and then he's dropping it down to 7 1/4. So I have seen 2x8s at 7 1/4, but I've seen way more 7 1/2 inch boards. So this just contradicted everything I told you a while back about, right? 7 1/2, but it's not so. Go measure your boards out here, and I think you'll find that I'm right.
Why is there that 1/4 inch variance?
I don't know. I don't know why they've done that. It's weird. Like
Yeah.
right, like the wider boards, they take more off. Let's see if this explains that. I don't think it will, but once the lumber's dried, once it's dried, it's plain smooth and reduces thickness and width to its surface size or dress size. Finished board actually measures the dress size, the size the finished board actually measures. 4 simple patterns emerge in the sizing of the dressed lumber, making it easy to remember all the sizes. The thickness of all 1x material is 3/4. The thickness of all 2x materials is 1 1/2. Then this is only lumber. This is construction lumber. This is not cabinet grade solid sod, red oak, white oak, mahogany, cherry. It doesn't apply here. This is dimensional lumber, board store lumber, spruce, fir, pine, things like that. The thickness of all 2x material is 1 1/2. The width of all boards, 6 inches or less, is 1 1/2, is 1/2 inch smaller than its nominal size, and the width of all boards 8 inches or greater is 3/4 smaller than its nominal size. So when we break, we're going to go measure some boards and see if we find that to be true. All right. And maybe it is true. And I never knew. The width of all 8 inch boards is 3/4. Lumber is always referred to by its nominal size, 2x8, even though its dress size is smaller, 1 1/2, 7 1/4. This is driving me crazy, 7 1/4. Lumber can also be sold in its rough cut state. The boards are cut and dried, but not planed to a specific dress size. Since the thickness of this rough stock is only approximate, the lumber is then referred to using the quarter sizing method. Using this method, a 4/4 board describes a board approximately 1 inch thick. Now, for me, I would just say 1x4 rough. To me, that means 1 inch by 4 inch net. 2 by 8 rough, 2 inches, 8 inches net. That's what rough means to me. If you say rough, then I think it mean net. But this wants you to use quarter sizing, which would call out the net, which is fine, actually. 4/4 board describes a board approximately 1 inch thick. A 5/4 board describes a board approximately 1 1/4 inch thick. The quarter designates is simply a fraction that's not been reduced. Okay. 4/4 equals 1 inch. 5/4 equals 1 1/4. 6/4. Okay, that's pretty easy. 8/4 equals 2 inches. Only that's not really true. It's just not. If you all S4S stuff, which your lumber that you go by 2 by 4, 2 by 6s, 2 by 8s, that's S4S, which means surface 4 sides. That's you're never going to hear about that as 8/4. And if you wanted 2 by 4 net 2 by net 4, you would say 2 by 4 rough. I want a net 2 and I want a net 4. Net 2 by 4. All you got to say is net. So I totally disagree with the book on this. Calculating board feet, because it'll confuse you, because you do use 8/4 in solid stock. Say a piece of red oak, 8/4 red oak. You say 8/4 red oak rough, you're going to get a piece of stock that's 2 inches. If you say 8/4 red oak S2S, you're going to get a piece of stock 1 3/4 inches every single time. No deviation. When boards are purchased rough cut from a mill, or when lumber is purchased in random lengths and widths that cannot be sold by a piece or linear foot because there's no consistency in their dimensions. When this occurs, lumber quantity is then determined by the board foot, which calculates the volume within the lumber. A board foot of lumber contains 144 cubic inches and is equivalent to a piece of stock measuring 1 inch thick, 12 inch wide, 1 inch long, 1 foot long, sorry. So one board foot is 1 inch thick, 1 foot wide, 1 foot long. Just like that picture shows right there. To calculate lumber by the board foot, a standard formula uses the board's thickness, width, and length to determine the quantity. It's board foot. This is the easiest way to figure board foot. Thickness in inches times width in inches times feet in length over 12. That will give you the board feet. And then times the number of pieces. I'm going to show you 2 other ways to do it. When calculating board feet, the nominal dimensions of lumber are always used. So in other words, you don't use 1 1/2, 3 1/2. Always use 2 by 4. 2 by 8 rather than 1 1/2, 7 1/2. How many board feet are in a 2 by 10 board measuring 14 feet long? Well, there's the math. 2 times 10 is 20. 20 times 14 is 280. 280 over 12 is 12 into 280. Equals 23.33 board feet, and that's exactly what the answer is there. And since now, here's how I do that in my head. Another way of doing it is I do 2 by 10 over 12. So I figure out how much is in a foot, and then I measure it times the length. So in a 2 by 10, it's 2 times 10, which is 20 over 12. 20 over 12 is 1 8/12, or 1 2/3. So 1 2/3 times 14 is 14, and then 2/3 of 14 is about, it's almost 9. So do the math on a calculator would be easy for me. But in my head, I usually figure the board foot of 1 foot, like a 2 by 4, for instance. 2 by 4 by 8 foot. 2 by 4 is 2 times 4 is 8 over 12. A 2 by 4 is 2/3 of a board foot per running foot. Now the easy ones are 2 by 6s, anything with a 6 or a 12 in it, anything that adds up to 12. So 3 by 4, 1 board foot per lineal foot. 1 by 12, 1 board foot per lineal foot. 2 by 6, 1 board foot per lineal foot. Right?
The 2 by 6?
Yeah,
Okay.
6, anything with 12 in it. So 1 by 12, 2 by 12, 3 by 12, 4 by 12, 6 by 12, 7 by 12, 8 by 12, piece of cake. And 8 by 12 is 8 board feet per running feet. So a 10-foot 8 by 12 has 80 board feet in a 10-foot stick. So the ones that add up to 12, 2 times 6, 2 by 6s, 3 by 4s, any multiples of that, 2 by 12s, anything, well, of course, anything with 12 in it. I'm trying to think of any other examples that hit it on the nail. Anything with the 12s or multiples of 12s is really easy to figure board feet. And it's really, you're figuring in, and then you're figuring thirds or 2/3 of board feet, right? Because like a 2x10 is 2 times 10 is 20 over 12 is 1 2/3 board feet. A 2x8 is 2 times 8 is 16. 16 over 12 is 1 1/3. So a 2x8 is 1 1/3 board feet per lineal feet. But if you're doing it in your calculator, you can just go, 2 times 8 times the lineal foot, and that gives you that stick. Don't forget to add the, to multiply the number of pieces. Since a board foot is a measurement of a board's volume rather than specific dimensions, materials of random sizes can still be equivalent to a board foot. So a 1x3 by 4 feet, that's pretty easy. That's a board foot. A 2x2 by 3, that's pretty easy. That's also a board foot. A 1x6 by 2 is also a board foot. You see how that all works out? And if you did it my way and didn't do 2 times 2 is 4 and 4 times 3 is 12. 12 over 12 is 1. You could do 2 times 2 is 4, 4 over 12. A 2x2 is 4 over 12, which is 1/3 of a board foot. So a 2x2 is 1/3 of a board foot per lineal feet. A 3-footer would be a foot. And calculating board feet, the board feet of multiple boards of the same size, the variable quantity of pieces is added to the formula. That's what I was trying to tell you. Quantity of pieces. So calculate the board feet in 16 1x8 boards measuring 8 foot long. Well, we'll do it the long way. 16 times 1 times 8 times, oh, well, they do it that way too. So they factor in all the way across. So fine, 16 times 1 is 16. 16 times 8 is 108. 108 times 8 is 1,024 over 12 equals 85.34 feet. See that? You should be able to follow along in your calculator, since we're now able to use calculators because we know how to use them. We know how to do stuff longhand. If you have any questions about this or want me to stop and explain anything, please stop me, and I will. And everybody hear me at Zoom at home, okay?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
All good.
Yes. Good. So here's the notes. I think we'll get through this. Let's see what we got to go, and then we'll take a break. Yeah. Yeah, cool. We'll take a break and then we'll do the review after we go through this, whatever this says here. So, okay, calculating board feet. A woodworker wants to build the standing shelf unit shown below. Because the species of material needed for the project, she will purchase the material as rough cut lumber and plane it down to a dress size in her workshop. Okay, so it looks like she needs some pieces 3/4 by 8 3/4 by 2'10". That's all her shelving, and then she needs pieces 3/4 by 9 by 2'10". Okay, because for the top and maybe the bottom, and then those are her sides, 3/4 by 9 inch by 5'9". So she determines the measurements needed for each part of the unit, then decides what size boards need to be purchased and planed to fit. Because rough cut material is being purchased and then planed, all materials rounded up to the whole inches or feet. She calculates the board feet of the pieces individually using the rounded up sizes, and then adds the total of each calculation to determine the total board feet of material needed from the mill. The back of the shelf is 1/4 inch plywood, and she's not calculating that using board feet. So she's got those two sides, right? And then figure the board feet because they're 3/4 by 9 by 5 by 9, and there's 2 of them. 2 times, so it's a 1 by 10, right? She's going to get a 1 by 10. We'll get her 3/4 by 9 out of. So the board foot on it is 2 times 1 times 10 times, and then she needs a 6-footer to get the 5'9". And then the same thing down here. She also needs a 1 by 10. She needs 2 of them. To get 2'10" net, she needs to have a 3-footer, and then she needs to get 4 of these 3/4 by 8 3/4. So that's got to come out of a 1 by 9. Okay, a 1 by 9 it is. It's a channel, but fine, we'll call it a 1 by 9. 4 1 by 9s by 3 foot to get 2'10" out of and over 12. There's all our board feet. So you add all those things up, it adds up to 24 board feet of material. So she knows she's got 24 board feet of material. I would never, ever estimate like that, ever, in a bajillion years. I would figure out the material I needed and figure out the lengths I needed, not, you know what I mean? I'd figure out, you know, those ones at 5'9", I'd put them down. I'd want to get a 12. I'd want to get a 12 footer. And those would be my two sides, you know, to net, you know, 1x10. If I was buying dimensional stuff, it'd be a 1x10 by 12 feet. And I know I'd get both my sides out of it. Bam, done. I don't need to figure board feet on that. Well, I'll figure board feet on that if I need to figure the cost, but that's what I want. And then actually come to think of it, why not just buy 10s? That's pretty good use of material, because then, let's see, what do I need for the shelves? I need 1, 2, 3, 4, so 6 all together. And they're all, if you got them all at 210, so that's 18 running feet. So 18 running feet could come out of 210. So I'd probably get 2 10s for that. Yeah, so I get a 12 for the sides and 2 10s for the rest of it. And then I'm done. And all out of a 1x10. I can get them all out of a 1x10. Right? Every single one of them comes out of a 1x10. It's not going to come out of a 1x9. So why would I want to figure 1x9? What good is that going to do me? So this is the real world. So I have no issue with her calculations. They're correct. But in the real world, what do you care if there's X amount of board feet in a 1x9 when you can't buy a 1x9? You got to buy a 1x10. You need to know the board feet in a 1x10 because that's the money you're going to spend. So yeah, it should come out of a 1x9, but you can't buy a 1x9, right? So if that's a cabinet, right, and that's solid stock, and you're not making that out of plywood, you're making that out of solid wood, and it's not pine or fir or knotty pine or something like that, you're buying from Hayward's, that you're getting it from Higgins or I can't think of all those people we did business with. So many people. I can't think of one. Weber Plywood, somebody like that. Somebody that supplies the cabinet business, and you want to buy solid stock, and that's going to be mahogany. And you're going to tell your guy, I want X amount of lineal feet of 4/4 S2S SLR 1E. That means straight line ripped one edge to net 9 inches. And it'll go out to the millman that my guy wants to net 9 inches. So SLR 1E means straight line ripped one edge. That's one edge is dead straight. You go up against your fence and you can rip, and then you're going to have a natural edge on the outside. And the guy will throw his tape on, find the narrowest part to get you your 9 inches. So the rest of it will be wider, but he'll get your lineal foot by your 9/10 widths. And that's how you do it when you order this stuff from cabinet supplier. From somebody that supplies sheet goods and solid stocks like Mayan Hardwood. If you were getting that material from them from a bona fide mill, that's how you'd order it to net X, and then they'd get it for you. And then really, so when you're figuring, you don't know if they're going to get you a piece of wood that is to net 9 is 9 1/4, 9 1/2, and you have a little bit of waste, and you're going to just pay for a little bit, or if they're going to get you a 12-inch wide. You're gonna have to have a bunch of waste. So you really want to give yourself a factor in there. So if you know your boards are going to net 9 inches, I would call them 12s. And figure that as a 1x12. And then you've got the money in there, the material in your estimate to cover yourself. Because it's a bummer to estimate your materials at $100 and have them cost you 200 or even 102 or 101. It's not. So always err on the side of caution for yourself. All right, let's take, I got 5 after, exactly. Come back at 15 after, okay? Thank you. We'll come right back to this.
You gonna pause the recording?
And I'm gonna pause the recording. Thank you, Zach. And you're gonna help me hopefully remember to unpause.
Hey Rod, it's
Charles.
Michael Silva.
Hang on one second, Mike. Let me just pause. Welcome back.
Did you check those board widths?
I did. What's the verdict?
Was it 1.5?
No, well, yeah, they're 1.5 period. They're all 1.5 thick, but it is a quarter. On the ones I could find out there, there were 2x12s were 11.25, and the one 2x10 I found out there was 9.25, not 9.5. But
Wow.
the 6x10s are 9.5. So I didn't see that in that thing, but we're gonna go over some board foot problems. But before we do, we'll just finish with that review, and then we'll get right into the right triangles. Probably get right through that, and I'm gonna pin myself because what I want to do.
Maybe you're apart.
All right, so board feet. Very common. Very common. Is it 2x4, right? That's a pretty common piece of lumber right there. And when you look at the ticket for that lumber, it's going to be sold by the MBF. That's the mill board foot. That's 1,000 board foot. In this case, 2x4 DF number 1 and 2 for $21.50 1,000 today. So let's calculate as well. 21.50. That's $2,150 per MBF. That's mill board foot. So that's per 1,000 board feet, which translates to $2.15 per board foot. Because the decimal place goes 1, 2, 3 places to the left. To translate from 1,000 board feet to 1 board foot. So it's $2.15 per board. 2x4, I like to do 2x4 over 12, which is 8 over 12, which is 2/3. So I know that every foot is 2/3 of a foot. So 2/3 of 8, is what is it? 0.67 times 8. So that's where you change 2/3 into a decimal, which is 0.67, 0.66666. We round up to 0.67, right? And then we take our calculators and we go. And what am I doing? 8 over 12, 2/3. So we go 2/3. We go 0.67 times 8 equals 5.36. That's 5.37. Board feet. In an 8-foot 2x4. And then times however many 2x4s you got. So, or 2 times 4 times 8. 2 times 4 is 8. Right? And 8 times 8 is 64. So it's 64 over 12. 12 into 64 is 5 1/3, which is, I would say, 5.33. This has got 5.37. So, but when you're talking about 5.33 versus 5.37, you're not talking about enough to have it matter. I don't care if you've got 100 of them. It doesn't matter. But yeah, some of the stuff that now comes back is a board foot or the board feet in an 8-foot 2x4 is 5.33. And then if it's 20 of them, if you've got 20 sticks, right? Then it's 20 times 5.37 feet, 28 footers. Would be, 100, and whatever the heck that turns out to be. Or you could do it all in one long thing, right? You could do 20 times 2 times 4 times 8, as long as you're in the proper format. So that's the one thing, the only thing you gotta remember is in all this board's foot stuff, you've got to have the thickness in inches, the width in inches, the length in feet, and there's no denominator for the pieces, right? But you can put these all together and still come up with the same number. So 20 times 2 is 40. 40 times 4 is 160. 160 times 8 is what?
800, 980.
160 times 8. What do you got?
160 times 8.
Yeah.
Oh, 1280.
Divided by 12.
106.67.
106.67. And then do this one for me. 20 times 5.37.
20 times 5.37.
Yeah.
107.4.
Do 20 times 5.33.
20 times 5.33. 106.6.
Okay. These numbers are the same. And we got there different ways, right? With your calculator, it's probably easiest to do it like this. Just 20 times 2 times 4 times 8 equals, and you're done. And that's the board feet in 20 pieces of 2x4 that are 8 feet long. And then you can do that with anything else. Anything else, anything at all. You can do it with 16 pieces of 2 by 10 by 12. So you're gonna do the math for me. You ready?
Yes.
16 times 2
16 times 2
times 10
times 10.
times 12.
Ready?
What's it equal?
3840.
Divided by 12.
320.
That's 320 board feet. So easy peasy, right? Now, if you really want to get esoteric about board feet, you can use the framing square. Did you all know this has a board foot scale on it? You knew that?
Yeah, I used it the other day.
You did? Really? You know how to use it then?
A little bit, yeah.
Good. Did you know that?
No,
Did you know that? Nobody knows that but you. Okay, so this is the board foot scale and everything's under the 12. Right? So and everything's figured in terms of 1. All these answers in terms of 1 board foot, 1 inch thick. So you get the answer, and if it's a 2 by 2 times, if it's a 3 by 2, if it's a 6 by, right? Keep following me? So let's say a 2 by 4, right? Nah, it doesn't have 2 by 4 in here. This would be 2 by 8, 2 by 9, 2 by 10, 2 by 11, 2 by 13, 2 by 14, 2 by 15. It's about the most worthless bunch of printing. Why would you want to do this? Well, this is what you have to do. So let's just say we want to find out two by 10, 2 by 10 by 18. We just need to find out what one board is. 1 2 by 10 by 18 feet long. And then we can, once we know how many board feet are in that board, then we just got to multiply however many pieces we're going to get, right? So to find that on this, what we got to do is we got to go into the 12, right? And we got to find, what is it, the 10, right? Which is 3 columns down. And then go here to 18, go 3 columns down, and it's 15. There's 15 board feet in that board, 15 in a 1 inch thick, but it's a 2x. So there's 30. So this framing square tells me that this equals 30 board feet. It tells me that because, and then we're gonna see if it's right, because I found that by 10 under the 12 are the scales of the widths, right? So by 10, we're gonna go start with 1 by 10, come all the way over here to the 18, three down, which is where the 10 is, 8, 9, 10 is 15. It's a 2x, so it's 2 times 15 is 30 board feet for that stick. Well, let's see. Would you do the math with me, please, Ben?
I did it already and it's correct, but yeah, I can do it again. Yes, 2.
So 2 times 10 is 20.
Uh-huh.
20 times 18 is 360. 12 under 360 is 30 board feet.
Yes.
So if you get down with this, this is a pretty easy way to do it, but really, this was invented before calculators. When they started figuring and putting a board foot scale, which I learned from my mentor, Frank Taylor, whose granddaughter I met today. I learned it in the early 70s. So it was way before that. And calculators were still not where they are today. Matter of fact, I don't think we didn't have calculators. There were adding machines and abacuses and things like that. There were no calculators. So I don't know why they still print these there, man.
What's an adding machine?
Are you kidding?
No, yeah, what's an adding machine?
Oh my gosh. Really?
Did it take up a room?
No, not really. An adding machine,
Is that like the accountants type
I've
of?
seen Hidden
calculator?
Figures, it's that big machine.
sometimes it's just. All right, am I still sharing the screen? I can't remember.
We just see the camera view showing the whiteboard.
We can't see it.
Oh, okay, so you guys now seeing that shared screen?
Yeah, now we can see it.
And what did you ask me? You asked me about an adding machine, right?
Yeah, what's an adding machine?
Any questions about board feet?
Basically, that's gonna help us when we're trying to match what we need versus how much it's gonna cost, or
Board feet will help you
Calculate the cost of material.
calculate the board feet of the material that you want to order or buy or use in the project will allow you to calculate how much it will cost you, because that's how lumber's sold. Now you can find out and extrapolate, board feet numbers, but just for instance, let's just now where I'm sharing a screen. Okay, good. Then let's look at something here. Let's look at. What am I looking for? What were we just talking about?
Adding machines.
Yeah, before that. I mean,
I can't even remember what they are, huh, Rodney?
Oh, I know what I'm showing. We're talking about board feet, right? Okay. So here's our 6 by 6s, right? Well, that's an easy one, right? 6 times 6 is 36, over 12 is 3. So for every linear foot of a 6 by 6, is 3 board feet. So I've got 4/8, that's 32 lineal feet, right? 32 lineal feet times 3 should be 96 board feet, right? Right there. Quantity or footage is 96. Now, that's not the lineal feet. The lineal feet is 32, right? 4 8-footers. Tally right there. 4 at 8. That's what that means. Tally is 4 pieces at 8 feet. So that 96 right there is that's those 6x6s, or 8-foot 6x6s. That's how many board feet there are, right? Comprendo? There's the price. That price is $3,350 a mill board foot. It's sold by the 1,000 board foot. That's how lumber's sold. So if you understand board feet, you understand how it's sold. So you understand how it's priced. So you can translate those prices. You can have those prices in your head. You know that lumber is $335. And by the way, that lumber right there, that is DF number 1. Select exposed, free of heart center. That's as good a lumber as I can specify coming from a board store. For construction grade lumber. So that 3,350, 1,000, if I was willing to accept a lesser quality lumber like a DF number 2, and I don't think they'd even make me a DF. Now, 6x6, you could probably get a DF number 2. You could probably get this for under 3,000. But as you can see, lumber is priced by the board foot and by the mill, the 1,000 board feet. And then you translate that to board feet by moving the decimal point 3 places, $3.35. And but all of this stuff will show you. So there's your lineal feet, 32 lineal, which translates to your board foot. Again, in your 6x10, so 36 lineal feet translates to 180 board feet. Those 2 sticks, those 2 18-foot sticks out there, those cost $301.50 each. Each one of those sticks is a $300 bill. So those cutoffs, those 1-foot cutoffs, those are $10, $15 bill cutoffs. But I had to have the cutoffs because I can't use the exact 18 feet. It just the ends of the board just are such that you pretty much have to lose some stock because that's where your checks happen on the end. And you want to get a cleanup cut. So anyway, that answer your question, and then let's go to Lou's fantastic question. I love that question about adding machines because who doesn't know what a dang adding machine looks like? We're about to find out what an adding machine looks like.
Are you gonna pull up a picture of the ones that look like typewriters?
I heard somebody say something, but not too well.
Oh, can you hear me now?
I can now, yeah.
Are you gonna pull up one that looks like a typewriter?
Yeah, right there. That's an adding machine. Well, that's what I have as an adding machine.
Yeah, that's what I'm used to seeing.
I got that on my desk, but really before these guys, when I was growing up, that thing right there, that's pretty much, that is an adding machine. That's what we had. And that was-
Bring that to your 8th grade math class.
What does the lever do?
It prints it, it runs the tape.
And why is there what is it, 5, 6 rows with 1 through 9? Are those for all the different
Yeah, so right, these are
Text line.
cents, right? So $111.11 if you pushed all those keys. So it goes up to 1,000. It goes up to $9,999.99. And for
okay.
So for each number you're entering, so let's say you're entering $567.87, you're pushing the 5, you're pushing the 6, you're pushing the 7, pushing the 8, you're pushing the 7, and then you're taking the handle, and it'll print out that. And then you're going back and going plus, and hitting the handle, and it'll run a total for you too.
Wow.
Purely mechanical, not digital.
Sounds intuitive.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You
that's
get a
that-
good arm
that's
workout,
that-
man?
What's that?
You get a good arm workout?
Yeah, you do. Way better than Vegas. This is pretty. Yeah, so that's what adding machines look like. Just like that. And you know, that's what I call my, I guess because I'm older, I call my, my desktop calculator. I've got one of those pretty much Looks exactly like this. It's not on the road. I call it an adding machine too. These are some of the classic adding machines. Wow. I mean, look at that thing. And they did it mechanically. They didn't do it digitally. So the little gears all clicked in and added stuff up for you. Urban remains. I love it. Largely intact. Okay, that can mean a lot of things. Yeah, but and then that's what cash register looks like too. Dial, slide, and chain adders.
Wow.
Yeah, and then we had these too, these babies, the American adding machine. So those are adding machines. Now, let's get that.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
Thanks for sharing.
For sure.
I have a question about the board.
Fire away.
The price that we saw on your invoice of the,
Yeah.
how do you call it, mill board foot? How?
Millboard foot, which
Millboard
means
foot.
mill, MIL, stands for 1,000.
That was like 3,350, something like that.
$3,350.
Is that price variable depending on the market?
Absolutely, changes every day.
So you go one day and you pay that, and then you go tomorrow, you
Well,
may pay this.
the market, the lumber market's very volatile right now. So usually prices used to lock in for 30 days, now they're locked in for 10 days. So they will lock in a price for 10 days. But then that may have gone down to 5 days. But it used to be 30 days.
Okay.
Lock-in price. So yeah, it's a drag, man. So you bid a job a year ago when 2x4s were at
$7.
6 years ago, 2x4s that are now 2150 a thousand were 380 a thousand. 6 years ago, 380 a thousand versus 2150 a thousand. That's 6 times. That's almost 7 times. That's so. What if you bid a job a year ago and say you bid your 2x at 980 a thousand, and now they're 2150. Now the job is finally going. You go, okay, well, now I want to do the job, and you got to go. Hopefully, you're going to stop and go, well, before we do the job, since it's been a year, some things have to be repriced. You just got to stay on top of those prices. Because at one point, if you start the job and then get along and then go back and go, oh, shoot, remember I bid it at this and I bid it then, this is how much lumber costs and this is how much it costs now. Your customer could hold your feet to the fire if they wanted to. You gave them a fixed price contract and said, this is the amount. And you signed it and they signed it.
Wow.
But if you have a good relationship with your customer, which you certainly should have if you're doing business with them, I stress that in doing business, that it's the relationship, it's the whole thing, man. That relationship, and I've had that happen. Where I've had this explain. Look, I bid it at X, and now these are my costs, and so I need to pass the cost on. And I'm going to pass the cost. Okay, where were we? We gotta go to this. Book. Board foot. Yeah, okay, we're just gonna go through some review questions on the board foot. Okay. So here's some review questions. Let's see how we're doing. Solve the following problems related to dressed lumber sizes. So this is not lumber in the rough. What is the width of a 2x4 and a 2x6 laid side by side? Whoever can answer, just chime in. Unmute yourself and chime in.
3 inches.
Come on. The width of a 2x4 and a 2x6 laid
9 inches.
Oh, I'm done.
side by side.
9 inches.
Who said that? And what'd you say?
9.
Yeah, 9 inches. A 2x4 is 3.5, right? The width of it, the width. And butted up to a 2x6, which is 5.5 inches wide. We're adding 3.5 and 5.5. Come up with 9. What's the thickness of a 1x8 and a 2x8 stacked together? What's the thickness?
2 inches.
It's dressed lumber.
1.5.
It's
Oh,
2
2 by
and a
8,
quarter.
sorry.
Come on.
Sorry.
It's right. It's 1.5.
One and a
The
quarter.
thickness of a 2x8 is 1.5, and the thickness of a 1x8 is 3/4. So 1.5 and 3/4 is 2 1/4. What's the width of a 2x10 and a 2x12 laid side by side? Backing up to saying, okay, I'll go with the book. A nominal dress lumber size is above 2x6 is 3/4 less, not a 1/2 inch less. So we'll just do it. So 2x10 is 9 1/4, laying next to a 2x12, which is 11 1/4. That's going to be 20 1/2 inches, right? Pretty easy. How thick is a 4-layer built-up beam made from 2x12 stock?
6.
6 inches, right? 4 times 1.5, 6 inches. Okay, now here's a beam that's going to be used to answer the next 2 questions. Looks like this thing is put together with 2x10 stock and 3/4 plywood. That's a heck of a beam. So how thick is this built-up beam? Okay, well, let's do it together. There's 3 pieces of 2x10 stock. So 3 and 2 by is 4.5. And there's 2 pieces of 3/4 plywood, which is 1.5 or 2 times 3/4. So 1.5 and 4.5 is 6 inches, right? So it should be 6 inches thick. And how tall is that built up beam? Well, let's do it together. It's 2x10 stock, which is 9 1/4, and it's stacked on top of each other. So it's 2 times 9 1/4. So it's 18.5 inches. So that thing is 6 inches by 18.5 inches net. And how long it is. How many 2x4s can be stacked in a 35-inch tall storage rack? Well, how do we do that?
We just
We take
Divide
35
35.
inches divided by what?
1.5.
By 1.5, which is 1.5, equals 23.33. Is there a third of a 2x4? Can you stack a third of a 2x4? No, you can't stack a third of a 2x4. So how many then? 23. 23 2x4s, not 24, because you want to get a 35-inch tall storage rack, and all you got is 35 inches. If you try to do 23, 24, you're not going to make it. So you got to be 23, right? There's no third 2x4s. How thick is an exterior 2x6 wall with 7/16 exterior sheeting and 1/2 inch sheetrock? Well, 5.5 inch wall, right? 1/2 inch sheetrock, it makes it 6 inches, and 7/16 exterior sheeting. So 6 and 7/16. We're adding fractions, and I'm just doing it in my head. You guys do remember how to do them, right? Changing the common denominators and add them and stuff like that. But if you can do it in your head, these simple problems, they're relatively easy. I mean, because I don't have to go right to 2/6. I know that's 5.5. I don't have to go right to 5.5 and add 7/16 and add another 1/2. I can go to the easy ones. I see 1/2, I see 5.5, bam, 6. And then adding the 7/16 makes it easy. And then this board here will be used to answer questions 9 through 10. I guess the width is going to be one of them. Okay, so what's the nominal width of this glued up board? Well, okay. So we're going to be adding, you ready? Ben, you got your calculator?
Yes, right.
3.5 plus 5.5.
Hold on, 3.5 plus 1.5.
No, 5.5.
5.5.
Actually, I can just do this in my head right now.
Okay.
3.5 twice is 7. 5.5 twice is 11. 11 and 7 is 18. Plus 7 1/4 is 25 1/4. See how I got that? Does anybody else see? Everybody else can see Austin's nodding his head. He got it. So I took the two 1x4s, they're 3.5 inches apiece. That's 7 inches. I took the 1x6s. Those are 5.5 inches apiece. Those are, so that's 5.5 twice is 11. So 11 and 7 is 18. And then the 1x8. Do you remember, was that table, was the 1x3/4 under, or was that just the 2x? Remember? Let's go back a little. Let's see.
What was the question?
The question is that nominal size. So nominal size, see, anything with the board 6 inches or less. So even in 2x, I mean, and even in 1x, yeah, even in 1x, all right? So over 6 inches, okay, then there's a really good illustration of it right there. Right? You gotta go, Austin?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
All right, fine, no sweat. No sweat. So you can see when we get past 2x6, 2x8s, 2x10s, 2x12s, they're 3/4 under. So instead of being like a 2x6, 5.5, instead of 7.5, it's 7.25.
Are you doing, was it percentages or right angles tonight as well?
I will get to percentages. I don't know that we'll get to the angles.
I'll just watch them.
Yeah, just if we do, I'll let you know. Or, and yeah, I'll shoot you a text and you can watch the video. Sorry, I gotta get to right angles and percentages. I'm still on word feet. Shit. Okay. Okay, but yeah, we'll go with the 7.25. We'll go with the over 6 inches. It's a quarter. I'll buy that. It's amazing. I love learning new things. Okay, so I think everybody understands board feet pretty well. Does everybody feel like they understand board feet pretty well? Anybody have any questions about board feet? Let's see how many more questions have we got on board feet? Not that many. Let's do a few random ones. Let's do 17. Let's do 17. How many board feet are in 22 pieces of 2x12x16? Well, this is really easy. Here's how I do it. I know that 2x12 is 2 board feet per board foot. It's that simple. So I know that a 16-foot stick is 32 board feet. That's a no-brainer. And it's because it's 2x12. You don't have to do a lot of math there, right? 2 times 12 is 24 over 12. 12 goes into 24 twice. Just the 2. If it was a 3x12, there'd be 3 board feet. If it was a 5x12, there'd be 5 board feet. So as long as it's got a 12 in it, just go to that first number. 2x12 by 16 is 32 board feet. 22 pieces is 22 times 30. 22 times 32, right? What is it?
What's that?
22
704.
times 32?
704.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Okay, easy. Everybody understand that? How we got to it? This floor system was built with rough cut lumber. Okay. I think you guys have got that. Let's go to this one. A woodworker purchased rough cut. Oh, there's a bunch of them. A woodworker purchased rough cut walnut boards from a mill for a project. Determine from the list below the total number of board feet of walnut boards purchased. Okay, so somebody keep a running total for me, please. He's got 12 4/4 by 6 inch by 10-foot boards. I don't want to do this. It's just punching in a bunch of numbers. Do you guys understand how we get there? Because really, we can just punch in the numbers all day. It's not so much the numbers, because your calculator is going to give you the right numbers. If you press into your calculator 12 times 1, you don't have to do that. It's 12, but do it anyway. 12 times 1 times 6 times 10 divided by 12. You'll have that answer. And then the next one, you do 4 times 1 times 10 times 14. You'll have divided by 12. You'll have that answer, right? And then you'll have the next one, and then you add them all together and you have the board feet, right? Dylan, you understand? You're gonna be able to do this? You're gonna disappoint me then, right?
Yeah.
You understand board feet. All you gotta do is understand the formula and have a phone in your hand that has a calculator. You understand how to push the buttons with your fingers, right? It's all you gotta do. It's simple. It gets simpler and simpler. when you think about it, because you could take all of those and just 12 times, 4/4 is 1. 12 times 1 times 6 times 10 will give you a number, and then divided by 12. And that'll give you the board feet. That'll give you the board feet for all 12 of those 1 by 6 by 10. And so do me a favor, press, plug that in for me. 12 times 1 times 6 times 10 divided by 12.
That is 60.
60? 60, okay. So in my head, 12 times 1 is 12, 12 times 6 is 72, 72 times 10 is 720, divided by 12 is 60 board feet. 60, just like that. That is the answer. You can't not get the right answer if you're pressing in the figures. And you're given to it. They're given to you right there. You just got to remember, and it's simple. The number of pieces will never be anything but a number. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 15 pieces, right? You don't have to worry about that. Just make sure that your thickness is in inches, your width is in inches, and your length is in feet. Divide the whole damn thing by 12 and you're golden. It's a pretty simple formula, and it works for anything. I could say, how many board feet in 6 8/4 by 15 by 22. Just plug in those numbers, get an answer, divided by 12, and that's your board feet every single time. Okay, that formula. Any questions from Zoom?
Did anybody else get 161.4 board feet for that last one?
The last one, you mean this one right here?
Yeah, did anybody else do it and get 161.4?
I don't think anybody else did it, Lou. I mean,
Oh, come on, guys.
I didn't do it. I think you're probably right. I mean,
You're not all
some-
using your adding machines like me?
Do you want
I have one.
to, see, wasn't one of those 60 board feet? You got 161 altogether?
The first one was 60 board feet. The second one was 46.6 repeating.
Okay,
The third one was 26.6 repeating. And the last one was 28. You add them all up, 161.4.
sounds good to me. So why do you say repeating?
What's that?
You said repeating. What does that mean?
Oh, the second one comes out to 46.6666.
Oh, I see, repeating. That's what
And
you-
the third one comes out to
Gotcha,
26.66.
gotcha. Repeating, okay. So let's see if I agree with that. So 4 times 1 is 4, times 10 is 40. 40 times 14 is 400, what is 560 divided by 12. 12 into 560 is 40 some odd. What'd you get, 40?
46.6, so
That sounds right.
46.7.
That sounds right. Just without plugging in the numbers, sounds like you got the right number, Lou.
It's here. Yeah.
It's here? Oh, you looked it up. So yeah, Ben has certified your number.
Yay.
There you go, Ben.
Good
All right, well,
job,
let's do another one that's in the back of the book. The answer is, and see if we're right. Currently, rough white pine is sold at 88 cents per board foot. So just out of curiosity, how much is that per 1,000 board feet?
8,800 and 1, 2, 3, 880.
880 bucks. It's 880 bucks 1,000 to translate to 88 cents a board. So it's 88 cents a board foot, and red oak sells for $1.92 a board foot. What was the total cost of the lumber the woodworker purchased? That's stupid. How is this even? How is this hard? It's $2.80, right?
For total cost.
Boy.
Oh.
Current white pine sales.
Yeah, it's
Oh, wait, is there
280.
some boards involved that we haven't seen?
How many board feet?
No, what was the total cost? Or the total cost?
Yeah.
But how many board feet?
Oh, it's off of 24.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it looks like it's off of 24. White pine and
Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, all right, again.
272.64.
Good. Oh, that Dylan looks in the back of the book and thinks
I
he's
thought that was
smarter than
That's Dylan's strategy for this class.
I mean, this part.
That's funny.
You're almost there, Dylan.
Almost there. Okay, so let's go on to. Oh, here's the exam. We're not gonna do the exam. We're not gonna do the exam until the exam.
Number 1 is 55 inches.
All right. Percentages and right angles. Let's go right to that. So, doesn't say anything about objectives, here, does it? It says percentages and right angles, and the terms we're going to use are 3, 4, 5 method, hypotenuse, percent symbol, percentage, Pythagorean theorem, right angle, right triangle, square, and square root. Percentages, okay. We are going to have objectives. The objectives in this chapter are to convert a percentage to a fraction, convert a fraction to a percentage, convert a percentage to a decimal, and convert a decimal to a percentage. Demonstrate the ability to calculate a percentage. Percentages are useful when comparing a quantity to a whole. Percentage is a part of a whole, representing a fraction of 100. For example, if 65 out of 100 boards have been cut, then it's said that 65% of the boards have been cut. The percent symbol identifies a percentage. Percentages are commonly used in the industry to express the amount of moisture in lumber. Invested 8% moisture. Salary, taxes, and deductions. Equipment or materials on sale. Waste factors on supplies and materials. And interest rates. Sales tax as well. The ability to solve problems involving percentages is essential in the construction trades because percentages are a representation rather than an actual number. It must be converted to either a fraction or a decimal before being used in a math operation. Converting a percentage to a fraction. There are times when a percentage must be converted to a fraction to determine the exact quantity it represents. Since any number identified with a percent symbol already refers to that number out of 100, the simplest way to convert the number to a fraction is to remove the percent symbol and place the number as a numerator over a denominator of 100. Then reduce the fraction to its lowest terms. 50% means 50 out of 100. Or, so it shows you 50 out of 100 equals 50 over 100. Reduce that to, it's not as low as common, but reduce that fraction as far as you can go, reduces it to 1/2. Any percentage can easily be converted to a fraction. 45% equals 45 over 100. Reduce that because 9 goes into 45. I'm sorry, 5 goes into 45. 9 times 5 goes into 100. 20 times. You can't reduce it any lower than that. So 45% is 9/20ths in fractional terms. 88% is 88 over 100 or 22/25ths. And 200% is 200 over 100, which is 2, a whole number. If the percentage is a fraction, remove the percent symbol. Okay, already did that. Sorry for yawning. Converting a percentage to a decimal. When it's necessary to convert a percentage to a decimal, remove the percent sign and divide by 100. This division can be done simply by moving the decimal point 2 place values to the left. So if you want to know the percentage of 3/4, you go 3/4 to what? Oh, so what do they want us to do here? You guys understand that?
The first one, no.
Because converting percentage to a decimal is as simple as, 65 over 100. Wait. When it's necessary to convert a percentage to a decimal, remove the percent sign and divide by 100. Yeah, we just did that. Okay. Now, when we want to convert a decimal to a percentage, you're going to simply, converting it is the opposite of what was done when converting the percentage to a decimal. The decimal point is moved 2 places to the right and the percent sign is added. So anytime you get a decimal, like 1.22, just remove the decimal point 2 points to the right, and that's your percentage. So if it's 0.85, what percent is that?
85%.
If it's 0.22, what's percent is that?
22.
If it's 242%, I'm sorry, 2.42, what percent is that?
242%.
That's the trick. 0.02, it's 0.00242. Forget I said that. So, so with 0.075 of the project completed, what is the percentage of the work that's been done so far? For 0.075, move the decimal place 2 points to the right, 75%. Any decimal can easily be converted to a percentage. So just move the decimal point 2 places to the right. Any decimal, move it 2 places to the right, you've made a percentage. Right? So 2.25 is 225%.
Okay.
2.45 is 245%. 2.70 is 270%. Just move that decimal point to the right 2 places. If 3 out of 8 workers call in sick, what percentage of the workforce is out sick? Well, 3/8. And 3/8 equals 0.375. And we get that, which equals 37.5%. We get that percentage converted to a decimal by dividing the denominator into the numerator. So the bottom number divided into the top number will give you your answer in decimal, and then to convert it to a percent, just move it 2 places to the right, 37.5%. Any fraction can easily be converted to a percentage, easily. So 13/16 equals, so do this on your calculator. 13 divided by 16, please.
13 divided by 16.
Yeah.
0.8125.
Exactly. So that's all you got to do is divide into, and of course, 3.5 would be 3.5. That's easy. And you want to know what 1 5/8 is as a decimal. Keep the 1 separate, divide the 8 into 5, you'll get 0.625. So 1.625, move your decimal point 2 places to the right, you got the percentage, you're there. So calculating percentages, in order to solve percent problems, you must identify the 3 basic parts of the problem and then determine the correct operation to solve the problem. The 3 parts of any percent problem contain the whole, the base, the percentage, and the amount, the part. You must first identify which 2 of the 3 basic parts you have, and then use the correct operation to solve the missing part, right? So, you need 3 things to solve a percent problem, right? You need the whole, the base, the percentage, and the amount. And if you have any of those missing pieces, if you have 2, you can figure the other one. For example, what is 12% of 275? So the percentage in the whole 1 million, you need to know the amount. The amount is missing. What's the amount? So 12% of 275 is you convert your percentage into a decimal, which is 12%. Same thing, convert a percentage to a decimal, you just move it now 2 points to the left, and it becomes 12.12 times your 275 equals 33. So 12% of 275 is 33. So what's 30% of 200?
60.
What is it?
60.
30% of 200 is 60, right? You see that? 30% of 200, and all Ben did in his head is he just took 30 times 2. Right? 30 times 2. It's just that simple. So, and of course, 50% of anything is half of it. That's pretty easy, right? And then again, that's all stuff in your head. But this stuff, all this stuff can be done on a calculator or on paper. 16%, 16 is what percent of 88? Well, the amount in the whole amount, 88 being the whole, and the amount of it, 16, what we need to know is the percentage, that's missing. So define percentage equals amount divided by whole. So there's the formula. Percentage, which we want to know, what percent of, 16 is what percent of 88. It equals the amount divided by the whole. So we have the amount, and we have the whole, so it's 16 divided by 88, which comes out to 0.181818. And that, moving the decimal point 2 places to the right, is 18.1818%. 16 is 18.18 is 18.1818% of 88. God, who cares? Okay, so 42 is 25% of what number? Well, the amount and the percentage are known, but the whole is missing. So to find the whole, we just need to divide the amount by the percentage. So the amount's 42 divided by the percentage, which we turned into a decimal by moving the point 2 places to the left to 0.25. 0.25 into 42 is 168. 42 is 25% of 168. And a really easy way to do that would be just to do 4 times 42. Because if 42 is 25% of something, it's a quarter of something. And a quarter of something means there's 4 of them. So if you kind of think about this stuff, you can sometimes just solve it just like that. Profit percentages. When estimating costs for any type of job, it's important to know how much money is being figured for materials. I'm getting cold. Hang on 1 second, I'm gonna turn this heater on. Well, so I'm gonna put on my down jacket and my hat and the gloves. That in with the warm up.
Door closed?
What's that?
Door closed?
Yes. Dylan's in his t-shirt.
Nice toasty in here.
When estimating costs for any type job, it's important to know how much money is being figured for materials, labor, and equipment. And what percentage will become your profit? A home addition project has been bid at $40,000, has the following estimated cost. Materials are gonna be 29 grand estimate. Labor is gonna be $4,745. And equipment's $1,300. To determine what percentage of the overall cost will be profit for the builder, start by adding the cost of materials, labor, equipment. So you add those 3 numbers, adds up to 35,000 and 25. That's an easy one. Subtract the total cost of materials, labor, and equipment from the overall bid for the project to determine the amount of profit for the builder. So those were his costs, and the bid was 45 grand. Then he made $9,975. Now, that's not all that accurate because it didn't take into account his overhead. So any hard or soft costs. But for now, let's call it gross profit, $9,975. So you want to know what percentage that is, right? Isn't that right? Now that amount of profit is determined, divide by the whole to determine the percentage, and that's how you find out what percentage anything is of anything. So if you want to know what percentage $9,975 is of 45,000, just divide it by 45,000. Any number. If you want to divide, if you want to know what percentage it is of another number, divide it by that number. That doesn't get any simpler than that. So we divide 9,975 by 45 grand, comes out 0.2217. We move the decimal point 2 places, and he made 22.17%.
Rodney,
Yes.
just curious, is that breakdown realistic? I would have expected labor to cost more relative to materials.
Yeah, no kidding. I totally agree. Typically, your labor and materials are somewhere near the same. Exactly.
So you got it.
Yeah, no, so that I had the same thought, Zach. That's not accurate. Not very accurate at all. And that might be, that, you might talk about that as his gross profit, but that's definitely not his net profit. You know, he's got other costs that you can match it, but they don't talk about that, so that's fine. It's not a factor. So here's our review. Wow. So express the following percentages as fractions, reduce the lowest terms, showing all your work. Okay. So 73% is a fraction, 73 over 100. Right? That's 73 over 100. That doesn't reduce anymore. Nothing goes into 73 that goes into 100. Nothing. Nothing even goes into 73, does it? There's nothing, is it? There is the damn thing. What the, I mean, 3 times 11 is 33, but that's the only thing that ends, that's divisible, that ends in 3. Not 13, 23, 33 by 11, not 43, not 53, not 63, 7. Yeah, okay. So it's 73 of 100. I can look that up for you if you want. But I'm not gonna. 1%. That's one, right? 1 over 100. 165% as a fraction. Okay. That's 1/65 over 100. 5 goes into 65 13 times, goes into 120 times. So that's 13/20. So the answer to that is 1 and 13/20. Do you see that? Does everyone see and understand that? 13/20. It's really just trying to hold on to those formulas, because you can press the number into your phone /calculator / adding machine just as well as anybody can, as long as you're pressing the right numbers and using the formula, then it's no sweat. So what does it say? 2/7%? What do they want to turn that into? They want to turn that into a fraction, 2/7%. Huh, interesting. Hey, how do we do that? I guess into a, they wanted following percentages as fractions. Okay, so 2/7% as a fraction. So how do we do that? We do 2/7 over 100. I'm confused. Can anybody help me on that?
Why don't you just do 2 divided by 7?
Well, yeah, that would give you the decimal, right?
And then wouldn't that be your, and then you do that over the,
Okay, so what's 2 divided by 7?
0.28285.
So 0.285,
And then multiply by 100, right?
0.285 times 100, yes.
28.57.
But why would you multiply it by 100?
Wait, now
That's
what
the
do you
sa-
got? What'd you get out of that? What's the answer?
28.57.
Right, I'm gonna check, because I'm blanking. I'm totally blanking. Okay, let's see, what page is that? 255. 255? 255. 255, 2/7. Tell me again, Michael, what'd you say? Michael?
It was Matthias.
Matthias, what'd you say that was? The answer was
28.57.
28.57. Now, how is,
Wait, is that correct?
no, because it express the following percentages as fractions. So 28.57 over 100. That's what you're saying the answer is? You know what? Let's find out the answer. I'm gonna go find us the answer, and then we're gonna work backwards and figure out
Backwards. Right.
how we got that answer, and then maybe it'll get clear. So help me remember, please. This is Unit 20 review, question 4. Here we go. Unit 20 review, question 4. Unit 20 review, question 4.
2/7%.
1/350 is the answer. 1/350 is the answer. Okay. One over 350, is that what it was? 1/350.
You're not gonna have questions like this on the final, are you?
I hope not. Unless I can get you guys to figure them out like as easy as I'm gonna figure them out. Percentages, right? I didn't like that question. 2/7%. So if the answer is 1/350, then how did we keep that?
Oh, I know how they got that.
How'd they get it?
They do, so they just did 2/7 divided by 100, but then they changed it so that it's 2/7 multiplied by 1/100,
Uh-huh.
and then they simplified from there. When they got 2/700, and then they went down to 1/350.
So is it,
I think it was just easier to raise the numbers instead of leaving it like 0.00002,
Yeah.
whatever it is under over 100.
Yeah,
So they just brought the numerator up to 1, right?
yeah,
And then they just use the same, because it's like 0.286 times 3, I think is 1 or something. It was something like that.
okay, so
0.325,
I just did
0.315.
it. I just did it and got it. But I did it and got it by taking 2/7% or 2/7 times, the fraction would be 100/1, but I inverted it to 1/100. And then reduced it to 1/3. That's how I got the answer, but I'm still confused as why I did that. So at 5/16, then would it be then 5/16 times 1/100 again, same thing, right? Same exact thing equals, let's see, so that's 120, so that's 1/32. 1/32, 1/32. So 5/16% is 1/32 of a fraction. Interesting. So another way to do that, 2/7 would be to go 7. Okay. So here's how I think I'd do that. I think I would go like this. I would go 100 divided by 7 equals times 2 equals. That doesn't work. Okay, that's not the way to go. So I'm confused and I'm going to get unconfused by the next time I see you. But in the meantime, at least I know how we did that, right? All we did, the formula for this, to turn a fraction of a percent into a fraction is to take take that fraction times a, so it actually be divided into, and that's where you multiply, right? So if you're dividing 100 into that, you'd multiply it. That's how we divide fractions, right? That's how we divide fraction. Remember, you're dividing a fraction, you invert. So we'd be multiplying 100/1. I mean, I'm sorry, we're dividing 100/1 into this to find out what its fraction is. But to do that, we got to multiply. We have to multiply the 100/1 inverted to 1/100, and then it works. That's the answer. But I'm still not clear enough to explain it to you clear enough, so I feel comfortable with it. So suffice to say, I know how I got the answer. I know how you can get the answer. And then the same thing on this 5/16. It's exact same thing. It's 5/16 times 1/100. So given that, 1 1/8% would be what? That'd be 9/8 times 1/100. And that answer should be 9/800. 9/800. Right, I don't think that's divisible. Let's just see. You think that's right? If I'm doing this right, and I'm changing that to 9/8, right? 9/8 is 1 1/8. And if it works, the other two above it, if that formula worked, it's times 1/100, then it's nothing can be reduced there. So 9 times 1 is 9, 8 times 100 is 100, so 9/800. So do you think that's the answer?
What is the answer?
9/800. That's
For
it.
answer number 5?
For answer number 6.
Oh, okay, sorry, I was doing number 5.
Yeah, what the hell? Okay, let's see number 6, right? Percentages, right? No. Yes. Oh my God. I don't know how I was right, but I was actually right. Wonders never cease. Yeah, they may never cease. What can you do? It's always good to be wonder. So that's how you do that, gang. If you want to find out what a fraction of a percent is as a fraction, then all you got to do is do that divided by 1/100, which means you're going to invert, I'm sorry, divided by 100. You have to divide it by 100. And to do that, you have to make it 100/1 and invert it, make it 1/100, and then do then multiply, just like you were dividing fractions. That's how we divide fractions, right? Okay. Yeah, there's going to be a bunch. Hey, and answer your question, Lou, it's going to be a boatload of those questions. Matter of fact, they're going to be mostly these kind of questions.
Dang, I shouldn't have said anything.
It's 25%.
Now we get into some really easy ones here too. Those are giving me fits. 7, yeah, 32. Okay, so now let's jump into 9 here. 9 wants us to express the following percentages as a decimal. Well, 23% is what is a decimal?
0.23.
Exactly. Everybody hear that? What's 98% as a decimal? 0.98. What's 24.5% as a decimal?
0.245.
Exactly. The next one, what's the answer? Wait, don't tell me. Dylan, what's the answer?
Well,
Dylan, number 12, yes, 18.35%. What is that as a decimal?
18.35% would be 0.1835.
Thank you. Thank you for showing me that you actually are paying attention. Yeah, that's exactly right. Good work. So I think you guys have got that one, right? See, what's this? What was this last one? Did that change? Okay. So the following ones express percentage as a decimal. Really? Percentages as a decimal. So it's moved it, moved the decimal places 2 points to the left, right? So 0.028% decimal is 0.00028. And 309% as a decimal is 3.19%. Right? Decimal place, the 2 points to the left, 3.19%, 309%. It's 3.19. And then 1/5 of a percent as a decimal Well, 1% would be 0.01. So a fifth of 0.01 would be 0.002. Right? Or 0.02. No, 0.002. And then, yeah, I think that's it. Let's see. Is that right? So,
No, isn't it 1/5? 0.2?
no, it's a fifth of a percent. So 1/5 is 20%. That's 0.2. But this is a fifth of a percent. And 1% is 0.01. So a fifth of that would be 0.002.
Okay.
And I can't give you the math how I figured that because it's getting late. And I'm about ready to call it here. Let's see if we can get through that. We get through this, and then, yeah, we're gonna go through a few of these. Oh, there's a bunch of them. We'll go through a few of these to get to right angles, but we won't pick up right angles. We'll do right angles when we meet after Thanksgiving. Okay. We'll finish up with right angles, but we'll get through these percentages. Yeah, so we stopped at the 1/5 of 1%, which, let's see if I'm right. What did I say? 0.002, right? Let's just see about that.
Are we still on number 6? Pardon me, 16?
16, yeah. I said 6. But I meant 16.
I divided 1 by 5. And then just divided again by 100. And getting
And what'd you get?
0.002. Sorry.
Yeah, okay. And that's exactly right. And I think that's the answer. And on question 16, the answer is 0.002. Good work. Everybody, we're getting that answer. Okay. Right. We've been there yet? Thought we were further than, oh, we're 16, okay. Gosh. Okay, we got all the way to 16. So let's see what are they looking for now.
Convert decimals to percentages.
Okay, so we're still converting decimals to percentages. Is that what that is? Is that what we're doing with this?
Decimals to percentages. From there.
Following is decimals as percentages. Okay. So what's that? 14%, right? 73%, right? 17 is 73%, 18 is 14%, 19 is, we're just going to move the decimal place now to the right. We're taking decimals and making them percentages. That's 4.6%, right? This is 0.62%, 494%. Piece of cake, man. Move the decimal place 2 points to the right, 206%. 9,602%. Right? 100.06%. Now we want to express the following fractions as percentages. That's 70%. This guy here is 13 and 64 divided by 13. I'm sorry. 13 divided by 64 will give you the percent.
You just divide and put the symbol.
Pardon me?
You just divide and then write the symbol. again.
Correct. That's it. 13 divided by 64 and then write the symbol and you have percentage. And actually, no, I take it back. That this what it'll give you the decimal first, right? So 13 divided by 64 gives you what number?
0.2
203.
So 0.203 is 20.3%, right?
Makes more sense here.
Yeah, it does. And 1.5/8, 8 times 1 is 8, plus 5 is 13, so it's 13/8. So 8 into 13 goes whatever that is, and then move the decimal point 2 places to the right.
Okay,
Okay. 2 1/5.
which is going to be more, no, which is gonna be like 100 and something percent? The answer
Yeah.
for that, okay.
Yeah, exactly. So like 1.5/8 is going to be 162.5%. I bet you. Because 8 times 1 is 8, plus 5 is 13. So it's 13/8. 8 divided by 13 is what?
I should know that, right?
No,
No.
not necessarily. 8 divided by 13.
0.615.
Yeah, exactly. And then move the decimal over, it's 61.5%. So this is a piece of cake. If you remember the formulas, like for this stuff, the book wants us to be able to take this 4 3/20, this fraction, this mixed number, whole number and a fraction, and it wants us to convert it to a percentage. So what percentage is 4 3/20? Well, let's make it into a real fraction or an uncommon fraction. 20 times 4 is 80, plus 3 is 83. So it's 83/20. 20 into 83.
415%.
There you go.
Would you agree that if there is a whole number, that every whole number is 100%?
Every whole number is going to be 400% plus whatever 3/20 is a percent. And 3/20 should be 15, so it should be 415%, right? So that's you can, right? 3/20, think about it. 3/20, using 20 goes into 105 times. 5 times 3 is 15. And then 343/100, that's 343%, right? That's a piece of cake.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
Okay, the following want to be following problems rounded to 2 decimal places when needed. Show your work. What's 8% of 150? God. 8% of 150 is 12. Is it right?
Yes.
It's basically 0.08 times 150. You know what? I'm not doing any more of this. You guys have got this. This is. And here's what I suggest you do. I suggest you read the book and do the review questions and use your calculator and use also a piece of paper, and check yourself. And, if you have an answer, check the book because the odd answers are given, right? Check the book, see how you're doing, but don't look at the book until you've done it. And then if you find out you got the right answer, congratulate yourself. And find out if you have the wrong answer, forget that answer, go back and redo it, or come up with an answer and work backwards. And check yourself. It's just math. It's just numbers. And if you plug the numbers that I give you on the test, or that anybody gives you in the right format, then you will get the right answer. It just has to be in the right format, like the board feet problems, right? As long as you get them all up there and that the format is right, that the number of pieces are the number of pieces, that the thickness and the width are in inches and the length is in feet, and you divide that big, times over 12, divided by 12, you're going to have the right answer every time, every single time. And now that you have all this knowledge about decimals and fractions and percentages, you can use your calculator because it's a piece of cake, right? So how do you turn any fraction into a decimal? Somebody think.
You may solve the fraction and then
Any fraction, how do you turn any fraction into a decimal? Well, first you make it into an all fraction, convert it to all fraction, like an uncommon fraction. You can't have a whole number, but just a regular fraction. Just remember, you divide the numerator by the denominator. The bottom number goes into the top number, and that gives you that's how you make any any fraction adjustment, any fraction adjustment. Simple stuff. I know you guys got it. And is there any questions? Any questions from the people at home? Let's see, is there anything else in here worth looking at? I want to go home early. Okay, we'll do this last one, right? Everybody down with doing the last one?
Yep.
We're gonna do the last two. We're gonna do 37 and 40. I can count really good too, right? Okay, so 1,530 square foot home had a 345-foot addition attached to it. So that means it's now an 875 square foot home. What percentage of the completed home can be attributed to the addition? Well, okay, that's pretty damn easy to do. All you got to do is take the small number, the 345, and divide it by the big number, 1,530. And it's 0.22549 and a bunch of numbers. So that's 22.5%. So you can only, and your percentages are only the first two numbers right at the decimal, right? And any number past that is a point on the percentage. Because remember, when you get a decimal, to turn it to percent, you got to move the point to that way. So it would make it 22.5 and then drop to 4. So 22.5% is how much they had. Square foot. Let's go right to 40. See what 40 has in store for us. The plot plan below shows a home located on a lot. What percentage of the lot does the home occupy? Okay, well, that shouldn't be too hard. Let's see. Let's get to my book so I can make some notes in it. Okay, there's the lot. There's number 40. So we're gonna very simply find out the size of the house, square foot wise. So 48 times 32 equals. So that house is 1,536 square feet. The lot is 80 times 125. I happen to know that's going to be 10,000 equals 10,000. Right hand, Rodney. 10,000. So we got a home that's 1,536 square feet on a 10,000 foot lot. So we want to know the percentage, right, of the lot that the home is occupying. How are we going to do that? Dylan, do you know how we're going to do that? We only have two numbers.
You subtract the house, the square footage
No,
of the house. No.
No subtracting. What we need to know is that what percentage, that 1,536 square feet that the house is, what percentage of the entire lot, the 10,000 square foot lot, what does that represent? And I can tell you right now, it represents 3.25%.
No,
Must be 32.5%.
no.
Okay, fine. Then let me actually do it, which is all I got to do is I got to take 1,536 square feet and divide it by 10,000. It's 15.3% of the lot. So you got the numbers, right? Every number was given to you. The size of the house, easy to figure out the area of the house. 48 by 32. 48 times 32 gives you that number, 1,536. The lot, 80 by 125, multiplied 80 times 125 gives you the 10,000, right? Got the numbers. 10,000 foot lot, 1,536 foot home, divide the big number into the little number, and you're going to get a decimal. And that decimal moved two places to the right, it's going to give you the percentage. Every single time, right? Next week or the week after, we'll do right angles. And before I let you go, I want to read a quote from my favorite book. So stop the share, pin. Stop share. Do I have anybody left?
Hey, was that stop recording?
Yeah, I got everybody left. Good work, people.
Well, you think we'd be scared off by the percentages?
Yeah.
There.
When you said above.
How about the fractions of percentages? Oh my God, that was.
Yeah, that was a little nutty.
Now I understand.
Yeah.
You guys said above.
I agree. Agree wholeheartedly. I could agree more, but what good would it do me, right? Hey, do you think they still have McRibs at McDonald's?
Oh, yeah, they're back.
Jim. I got a hankering. Okay, so I'm just gonna pick a spot here. Now I'm gonna pick this spot here. All right. So the fourth agreement, right? The four agreements, I'll just refresh your memory. The first agreement is be impeccable with your word. The second is don't take anything personally. The third is don't make any assumptions. And the fourth is always do your best. There's just one more agreement, but it's the one that allows the other three to become deeply ingrained habits. The fourth agreement is about the action of the first three. Always do your best. Under any circumstance, always do your best. No more and no less. But keep in mind that your best is never going to be the same from one moment to the next. Everything is alive and changing all the time. So your best will sometimes be high quality. Other times it will not be as good. When you wake up refreshed and energized in the morning, your best will be better than when you can't figure out the goddamn percentages at night. Your best will be different when you are healthy as opposed to sick, Lou, or sober as opposed to drunk, Dylan.
I'm 20, I can't even drink yet.
Your best will depend on whether you are feeling wonderful and happy or upset, angry, or jealous. In your everyday moods, your best can change from one moment to another, from 1 hour to the next, from one day to another. Your best will also change over time. As you build the habit of the four new agreements, your best will become better than it used to be. Regardless of the quality, keep doing your best. No more, no less than your best. If you try too hard to do more than your best, you will spend more energy than is needed. And in the end, your best will not be enough. When you overdo, you deplete your body and go against yourself. It will take you longer to accomplish your goal, but if you do less than your best, you subject yourself to frustrations, self-judgment, guilt, and regrets. Just do your best in any circumstances in your life. It doesn't matter if you're sick or tired. If you always do your best, there's no way you can judge yourself. And if you don't judge yourself, there's no way you're going to suffer from guilt, blame, and self-punishment. By always doing your best, you will break a big spell that you've been under. Love that. Your best is going to be different. So Thanksgiving. I'm having Thanksgiving with, did I tell you guys this? I haven't had Thanksgiving at my house for a while because we've been renting our house. We've been renting it to the same people for Thanksgiving for a couple of years. Before that, I just haven't had a Thanksgiving for a while. So I blocked out my house for 3 months and I'm going to doing some stuff around there, which I haven't really done anything. But I'm having Thanksgiving dinner with both of my daughters, both their husbands, my ex-wife, her husband, my grandsons, my 2 grandsons, my youngest son, my wife's youngest son, he's 30 something, 31, and my youngest daughter's husband's parents from my end. That's who we're having dinner with. So it's going to be a gas. We have a pretty decent sized dining room, but it's not going to be big enough for 12 people. And our dining table, we could max 10. But so we're going to eat outside. We have enough room to eat outside. Pray for good weather. 2 o'clock should be good enough. Hopefully it won't rain. Have an early dinner. But Thanksgiving, man, what a gas, what a time. And you know, I think it's a good time. I like Thanksgiving. I like the whole idea of it, of giving and, you know, and family together and stuff like that. But the thing that I find to be just about the most pleasurable thing that I can think of doing in the world today is cooking with my family. Oh my God. Cooking with my kids, with my daughters. Kitchen. One year I stuffed a goose and it was just a blast. I mean, I had so much fun with them. And there's nothing like, you know, preparing food with people that you care about, because I think food is transcendent. And then food is more than just physical sustenance. If food is prepared with intention and love, it transcends the bad stuff in food. With intention and love, with those ingredients, and that's how you should be preparing all your food, even your McRibs. And I'm going to ask them, You prepare this McRib, excuse me back there. Is there intention and love going in that McRib? Because there sure as hell better be.
They're gonna spit in it.
Phil spit in it, right?
Have you made a turducken?
What's that?
Have you made a turducken?
What now?
A
turducken.
turducken is it's a chicken stuffed in a duck, stuffed in a turkey.
No.
And you can go to the next level and probably stuff the turkey into a goose. or
It's
something.
extremely.
Turducken?
Yeah.
You guys all know about this, so it's the thing.
Yeah, it's a thing.
No.
Usually the chicken gets really dry.
Oh my
Right,
God.
love it.
Turducken. Oh, man. Wow, that's something.
You're gonna shove the beer in the chicken, then shove the chicken in the duck. to make
Beer
everything
turducken.
moist.
Oh, man. So, and I was just telling, I guess I was talking to Dylan about it before, so I ordered this turkey from Whole Foods, right? An organic Whole Foods turkey. They're $3.99 a pound. That's $4 a pound. Prime members, when you go to pay for it, you can get it for $3 a pound, $2.99, but that's a $4 a pound turkey. Dude, all my life, turkeys were 29 cents a pound, 39 cents a pound. You can buy a 20-pound turkey for $8. Now they're 70 or 80 bucks for a Whole Foods organic turkey, but I know my daughter's a wank if I don't get organic turkey.
They don't have to tell
I can just tell them, no, organic is a day as long. Are you kidding me? That's not a butterball. That's somebody put that on there. I don't know where that came from. I don't know where that
You also take a 12 gauge and some bird shot.
Yeah. Yeah, but no wild turkeys. And that's another thing we were talking about. Wild turkeys are gonna be tough, man. If you like turkey, you're gonna want those farm raised turkeys. So.
But then you get the joy of everyone spitting out pellets during things.
So look, everybody, have a fabulous Thanksgiving. I mean, a really, really nice Thanksgiving. I just hope you all have the best time ever. Why is this not happening? It won't let me get back. It's Zach. There you go. I still-
It's what?
I'm sorry, Zach. It just was showing me you, and now I'm trying to get back to. Can't get back. So anyway, have a lovely Thanksgiving, everybody. Be good to yourselves and everybody else. See you in 2 weeks. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rodney.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Rodney.
you guys. Hey, travel safe if you're traveling. Just be safe out there, okay? Keep in touch, all of you. I'll see you all in 2 weeks.
Okay,
2 weeks from tonight. Right?
yes. Do you know if everything went okay with Mr. Cunningham today? No, it's next week, right?
Yeah,
Tuesday.
he's having a
Yeah.
surgery next week.
Okay.
So I'll let you guys know.
Right, we'll see. I might actually have class with him before that Thursday that we have class, so you'll let us know. Because I think I'm gonna have.
Yeah, next Wednesday, you guys are dark.
No, I mean, so we have class in 2 Thursdays, right?
Yes,
So 2 days before, I
Yes,
will have
yeah,
Zoom with him.
you will.
Uh-huh.
You definitely will.
So I'll ask him. Okay, thank you, and likewise.